Serah's life began with a constant struggle against her inner demons. Her battle with addiction began innocently enough with a glass of wine to unwind after a long day. But when the pressures of life mounted, that single glass of wine turned into Serah. She found herself relying on alcohol to numb the pain of her past mistakes and failures. As her addiction to alcohol deepened, it began to take over other aspects of her life. She started to lose control, needing a drink to start her day, to get through her afternoon, and to sleep at night. The alcohol seemed to provide a temporary relief from her overwhelming guilt and self-condemnation, but it only amplified her feelings of worthlessness when she sobered up. Serah's addiction wasn't limited to alcohol. She turned into prescription drugs in an attempt to cope with her emotional pain. What started as medication for anxiety and depression became another crutch she depended on. She began to misuse these drugs, taking more than prescribed dose in order to escape her reality. The mix of alcohol and drugs created a dangerous cocktail that pushed her further into the abyss of addiction. Her relationship with family and friends deteriorated. Once vibrant and full of life, Serah became withdrawn and isolated. She avoided social gatherings, afraid that others would see through her facade and discover her secrets. Addiction eroded her self-esteem and convinced her that she was beyond redemption. At work, her performance suffered. Serah, once a dedicated and reliable employee, became erratic and unreliable. Her boss noticed her frequent absence and mistakes. Her colleagues whispered behind her back, and the fear of losing her job added to her stress, driving her deeper into her addictions. The breaking point came one night when Serah, in a haze of alcohol and pills, found herself at a party she couldn't remember attending, and woke up the next morning not knowing how she got home or what had happened. The overwhelming thought and fear of not knowing what she might have done tormented her, and she felt trapped in a circle of addiction and guilt, each feeding off the other in a vicious loop. Serah's story mirrors that of many who struggle with addiction, feeling trapped in a circle that they can't escape, often turn to substances to numb their pain, but eventually find themselves in deeper despair. Striving to win God's approval, Serah believed that her addictions made her unworthy of His love. She saw herself as a failure, not able to meet to the standard of perfection she thought God demanded. Her addiction led to a profound sense of unworthiness and self-condemnation, unable to overcome her dependencies despite her efforts. Each relapse reinforced her belief that she was beyond help. She felt like she was constantly failing, creating a cycle of guilt and regret that was suffocating. Serah's story is not just about addiction, but the overwhelming burden of trying to be perfect in the eyes of God and failing, the crushing weight of guilt, and the belief that she was unworthy of God's love and forgiveness. But her story also holds the message of hope. Just as Jesus showed mercy and compassion to the woman caught in the act of adultery, He offers the same to those trapped in addiction and self-condemnation. It is important that you understand the unconditional nature of God's love. God's love is not contingent to our behavior or performance. It is boundless. It accepts us in our brokenness and offers a path of healing and renewal. Serah's journey is a testament to the divine power of God's love, a love that can break the chains of addiction and restore wholeness. One day, Serah heard the story of a woman caught in the act of adultery and was brought to Jesus by her accusers, expecting judgment. But the woman encountered an extraordinary grace. Jesus said, Let any of you here without sin should be the first to throw the stone at her. They all dropped the stones and started leaving one by one. And Jesus said to the woman, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. This story resonates with Serah. She saw herself in that woman, not being condemned by others, but by her thoughts, striving to live an unattainable standard of God's perfection. And then she found herself being trapped in a cycle of guilt and regrets, constantly reflecting on her past failures, mistakes, sins. Then she felt like she was unworthy of God's love. Trying to win God's approval or earn His love can lead to the feelings of failure and distance from Him. The message that emerges from these stories is clear. You don't need to appear perfect before you come to Jesus. In fact, it is in your brokenness and imperfection that His love is most profoundly experienced. The idea that you must clean up your life before approaching Jesus is akin to trying to clean up yourself before taking your bath. Jesus is the bath Himself, the source of cleansing and renewal. Just come as you are. Come with your imperfection, brokenness, filthiness, failures, addictions. Just come. It is faith and humility, and Jesus will cleanse you. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. I am so grateful and I know you are blessed. If this video has added value to you, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already, and give me a thumbs up. Also share the video to others. Thank you as you do that.